for tech and telecom professionals. I'm Jamie Scotto-Kataya here at International Telecoms Week with my very dear friend, Mr. Erick Contag, the CEO of GlobeNet. Erick, welcome back to JSA TV.
Jamie, thank you so very much. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Now that GlobeNet is an independent company, can you tell us a little bit about your growth story?
Absolutely, Jamie. I mean, we're very excited to be a fully independent international carrier. We've been hitting our numbers quarter after quarter, year after year, and GlobeNet is very, very well positioned to address the growing market demand that we have for international services between the U.S. and the Americas. As a matter of fact, we're seeing and following actually projections of industry analysts that predict a 40% CAGR growth, and we are actually aiming exactly at that. We're preparing the network, we're actually grooming the network, and we're preparing to grow and upgrade the GlobeNet system to be able to anticipate that 40% CAGR with respect to international demand. So GlobeNet continues to make very sizable investments in our network, in our upgrade, in our maintenance, in our services, such as the new products that we launched, in order to anticipate and be able to address a growing market demand on the U.S.-Latin America route.
So Erick, we've seen a move from 10 to 100 gig wavelengths in the terrestrial routing, of course. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we're seeing in submarine routes?
Sure. I think we've seen an evolution in the subsea space. We went typically from 10 gig waves and then 40 gig waves, which didn't last as long. And most new systems are being deployed with 100 gigs, and the planning is actually looking at 150 gigs and 200 gigs, which you refer to as 8 QAM or 16 QAM. GlobeNet is one of the first subsea players of existing cable systems that's deploying not only 100 gig technology, but in one of our segments, we're already deploying 8 QAMs. And that will happen, let's say, this year. I think what is different, perhaps, from before is that typically your standard interface was a 10 gig interface, then you would break it down into smaller pieces. But we do have some web scale companies that have come to us and have requested that we do the jump and that we provide them with 100 gig services. And we started that last year, and this year now we have that, let's say, as a product outside of what we offer just to the web scale companies in our space.
And you're also offering to your customers virtualization services. Can you tell us a little bit more there?
Yes, and virtualization in our space is more tied to a service that we have tailored and that we're offering some of our customers. And let me give you an example. We have some very large regional carriers that are partially government-owned. And for them to establish a presence at a major exchange, for example, in the United States, requires them to go through a tremendous amount of paperwork in order to do that. There's another reason behind it, is that they don't have the capex or the capital to deploy large-scale systems, but they would like to have a service, let's say, that fits that mold. So by GlobeNet developing a virtualization solution, we actually killed two birds with one stone. We actually are able to deliver to them a virtual service as if it was their own. They can go in, they can manage the router, they can interconnect. It lives in our facility, so we manage the entire infrastructure. And they don't have to go out and look for, let's say, the cumbersome process of establishing, let's say, a remote legal entity. So the product has been very, very well received. Some of the largest Latin American carriers are looking at it because it gives them an instant access to GlobeNet POPs in the United States and elsewhere. And it's becoming a very interesting product, and one that we just recently launched, which has already been very, very well received by our customer base.
And of course, you guys are the experts in Latin America connectivity.
Thank you for that.
It's true. So can you tell us a little bit more about your reach and your clients?
Absolutely. I mean, we service all the global tier one customers or providers. We also service the major customers and ISPs in Latin America itself, right, in the regions that we operate in. GlobeNet's reach today is Bermuda, Brazil, Colombia, and Venezuela, but through terrestrial extensions, we've been able to reach other geographies like Uruguay or others, let's say, in Latin America. We also provide the same type of services, and in some cases, big bandwidth services or big capacity services to large web-scale companies that want to establish a presence in Latin America. And we see that trend continuing. In general, I think the economies in Latin America are soft, but that doesn't mean that the market is going to fizzle. As a matter of fact, we believe that it's a good time to some extent to retrench, to revisit your investment plans, and to start to build up because things do turn around. And we're anticipating that, not only in the way that we scale our network and the reach that we're adding to GlobeNet, but in working very, very closely with our partners so that we understand what their requirements are and we are ready for the time that they're ready. Right, so it's being a step ahead of the market.
And talking about predicting what's coming down the pike, can you tell us what do we see for GlobeNet in the near future, and what are the trends that you're seeing in the marketplace?
Well, I think in general, Latin America, in particular in Brazil, over the last couple of years, you've started to see quite a bit of interest from web-scale companies to establish their own presence. By definition, you're also going to see some new market entrants. There's going to be new subsea builds, mainly on the U.S.-Brazil route. But it's not only about the technology or about the cable. It's about being able to operate in an environment, understanding international laws, understanding regulation. And that's a value that GlobeNet brings. I mean, as you know, we own and operate our entire asset, not just the subsea piece, but the landing stations, the terrestrial networks, et cetera. And we've been growing, and we will continue to grow by continuing to extend, let's say, our services. And that's a value that we bring to anybody that wants to come into the region. It is not easy to establish a presence in a country like Brazil, right? And it takes time. You have to go through all sorts of permits. You need to understand how business is done there. And that's something that we can bring to the table, in particular for entrants that want to come into our market, where we can help them to establish such presence, not only there, but also in Colombia and Venezuela and in other markets in Latin America, and help them to deploy, let's say, their businesses. As the only truly independent operator in the region, I think we have a great advantage, a lot of expertise, and definitely a proven success in being able to deliver solutions for our customers.
You certainly have the expertise in that area, the relationship management, and the reach. So, as always, great chatting with you. Can you tell our viewers who may not already know where to find out more about GlobeNet?
Absolutely. Please visit us at www.globenet.net.
globenet.net. Thank you, Erick.
Thanks, Jamie. Thank you very much, as always.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to JSA TV.